So this is the title of my talk, but really what I wanted to talk about today was that I think that way too many marketers have their head in a box. And I'll explain what that box is and why that is a problem and why that is an increasing problem. So that's actually what I'm going to try to achieve. So let's start by going back in history. I'm that age now where I like to look back at when the kids were small and all that. So that feeling of going back in history and remember back in the day. So back in the day, I remember people said, oh, I'm in sales and marketing. I thought, oh, that makes sense because like I work with marketing a product and then making sure that it sells. So sales and marketing, they go hand in hand. So like you in an organization, you have a department called sales and marketing. So that makes perfect sense. Now what's happening now is like we've forgotten all about that sales part, yeah? So now we just work in marketing. So where did the salespeople go? So in some companies actually marketing is one department and sales is another department. Which is strange, really, because they should be part of the same game, really. And I think this is not just a play on words. It's not just me being funny, haha. It's not called sales and marketing anymore. Because even now we talk about maybe online marketing. We've forgotten the sales part, and I think this is really interesting. And I'm trying to sort of build my case around why this has happened and why this is a problem for you guys. Let's look back at sort of like advertising, marketing, that sort of ball game. So like back in the day, some of these are old examples, some are new. That's not the point. The point is like back in the day before all this digital stuff, yeah, you would have a marketing or advertising campaign that was completely detached from the actual sales process. So you would have like print or outdoor, something that was completely, back then it wasn't called offline, obviously, but offline. So you have a campaign, and then you would hope that it would create some sales. So maybe it would create brand value or there would be some sort of offer, but you had no connection between the actual advertising and the measurement of how was things going. Of course, when you have Lars Larsen, may he rest in peace, he would see his business grow and increase by his TV adverts, but he wouldn't actually really know what happened in that advert, what that would how that would relate to its sales. So naturally, you would say, people that worked in advertising or in marketing, they would just do all these campaigns and they wouldn't worry so much about what was going to happen. So if you forward that thought till today, then in the beginning, first we had new marketing channels like Google, Facebook, these places. Now what's interesting about these places is that you have no control over how your marketing content is really handled. You have a framework, you can add pictures, you can add this text, but we in Google will decide what it looks like. We are in control over the actual experience of your marketing material. So again, you had a lot of marketing people that would put stuff on these different sort of channels, and they would link that into a different environment where the actual sale would happen. So again, for years we would have had this sort of detachment, sort of away from the actual sale. So again, it becomes natural to have campaigns, lots of campaigns, where you have stuff that is not really connected to the actual sale. That comes later. Now this is actually a problem, and it's also really part of the lingo we have. We talk about traffic, how to gain traffic through different channels. So where does that traffic go? Maybe that's not so interesting. What do we do with all that? What do we do with that traffic? We send it to somewhere where people can buy and where they convert. We talk about visitors. So even in the lingo, there's that detachment, even though it's still part of the good old sales process. As marketers, we are just not often part of that whole chain. Now, in content marketing, I think this problem is really growing and it's really big, and I've seen this again and again. This is from a campaign from just yesterday. This is actually one of my clients, but I'm not part of the marketing as such. But so they have a campaign on Facebook that goes, oh yeah, you can save 20%, and so that campaign sends someone to the website. Now the person doing this campaign is not the person doing this website. They are in the same company, but they are in two different jobs. They talk together, yes, sure, but these run their campaigns. They have creative ideas and they have offers. And these people are sort of more like UX developers, sort of like, they have the same boss. But this happens a lot. So you have that detachment again. So if you look at this and you go, oh, I want to save that 20%, that's part of my decision-making process, that's part of selling this, making this valuable for me as a human. When I go to this page, the product is there, but the offer is no longer there. So as a human, I would have to go like, where's my 20%? That's a really bad start in a sort of journey where you want to sell something to people. They have to invest time themselves, and I will show you later why that is a problem when you ask users to invest. So this is a piece of content marketing, and I know marketing takes many shapes and forms, but this is something I see a lot in content marketing. So let's just talk about why this is a problem in content marketing. So you want to engage people, write great stories, build universes of content, and have them come back and do this and that. So like if you look at this from a sales perspective, you would go like, why would I buy this product? I mean, it is on the page, the product. You know, it's not the pasta machine, but it is there. So you can read this text and you can go, yeah, I want to, it's in English, but it doesn't really matter. It's about hacking your daily life, and it's all about how you can do different things to have a better family life. And of course, the product is intertwined in this. The product is the cooker tab, yeah? Hot water comes out of it. And so you can read the story and you can go, yeah, that's really cool. I want to live like that, you know. I want to have that, so I want to hack my day. What's the next step? So what's here? There are things you can do on this page. You can go to the menu and you can sign up for the newsletter, or you can click some little discrete link. But that has nothing to do with the sales discussion or the sales decision in the mind of the user. So this thing is a typical example of something that's just thought as a piece of content marketing, but it's not thought as a piece of a sale. Because a sale is a conversation, and you need to be able to move one step forward. So you can love this as much as you will, and then what? Go back to Instagram where you came from and go to somewhere else? No. We want to keep people on this side. We want them to go further into the product. What if I land on this page? Because this happens a lot. A lot of content marketing is actually a landing page. Because this is my first visit to the actual page. What happens? So what if this was what I'm looking for? That's not really what I'm looking for? What if I know this already, but I want to go a step further? I'm more ready to sort of know about this stuff. What would be my next step? Where's the variation? Where's the alternative? So this is all gone. And this happens a lot in marketing, as I see, and I think it's because a lot of marketers forget that they are part of a sale, and I think a lot of people lack those sales skills. So let's go on another historic journey, if you please. So do you remember going to a conference like 5, maybe even more years ago, and everybody's like, oh, mobile, it's coming. It's like, really, you have to do something now. You have to think mobile first. And everybody goes, yes, we have to do that. And then the years pass, and there's a bit more mobile. And then yesterday, out comes FDH, it's the Danish e-commerce association. They come out with their half-yearly report and says, oh, now search is bigger than ever on mobile. The mobile it's now. And it's like, Jesus Christ, we've heard that for 10 years. That doesn't mean that it's not important. It just means like some of these things, they take time to mature, and the pain takes time to step in. So maybe some companies felt the pain 5 years ago. A lot of companies feel the pain now. My clients go from 25% mobile traffic to 35% to now some of them are 60%. And now they start going, oh shit, yeah, maybe we have to do mobile first, because they haven't done that all those years. Recall that feeling? Ever go to a conference and go like, yeah, we heard this 5 years ago. It's nothing new. It's the same thing with this sort of conversion optimization, because I run a conference that works with conversion, and I've been in this environment about conversion for many years. And some years ago, we started seeing these images on the conferences. And what they are trying to say is like, we maxed out our traffic. Yeah? So we can't buy any more Google ads or AdWords back then. We can't buy anymore because the traffic is shit, the conversion is really low, and we are battling with our competitors about the keywords. It's just not worth it anymore. We pay 200 kroner for a lead, and the product is 199. It just doesn't work anymore. And so what they said is like, we have to get more out of that traffic. Yeah? We have to convert that traffic. That was a pain for someone 5 years ago. But now, in 2019, I hear more clients saying this than ever before. Now it's actually hitting the small, medium businesses as well. It's like, oh, we better look at the website. And then we look at the website, and it's shit. Because they spent hundreds of thousands of kroners on advertising on social media and everywhere for years. They have spent zero money on their website, really, on the conversion, really. So this is the thing that's going to hit us more and more. And what marketing people normally do is like they just invent a new channel, yeah. So they go like, oh, we're maxed out on Facebook. Hey, Instagram, we're maxed out on Instagram. Yay, influencers, we're maxed out on influencers. Yay, content marketing, we're, and it keeps going. But my point is, there is a way of working with these things. This changes the game, I think. In my opinion, this changes the game for being a marketer now, and I think there's something here that is different. One thing that is different is that if you are in an agency, your clients are going to ask for a higher return on your marketing campaigns. And if you are in a marketing agency, you would ask people like me to help you make your campaigns perform better, because there is a higher and higher need for return on investment. And this is really super annoying for everybody, because it's like, oh, this just means that you can actually measure whether it works or not. So you need to have some skills in order to make this happen for your business, for your clients. And this is where I think marketers have a head in the box. There's too much focus on the marketing alone and too little focus on being part of the actual sales process. Let me try and dig a little deeper into that. So why is this relevant now, even though it has started years ago? It's relevant for several reasons. First of all, we have more data. So now the client can actually see what's happening with the actual campaign. So back in the days with the bus, you can just go, that's a great advert. A lot of people talked about it, and we can see some sales go up. Now it's tough because you have all that data, and so the requirements goes up. Another thing that's happening is, of course, we as humans, we change because we have so many offers. Think about how your TV, or sort of, what should I say, like your media intake have changed over the last not very many years, from just watching 2 channels at home to watch whatever, whenever. So of course it doesn't really change human behavior. It's not like the iPhone changed how humans interact. We just interacted with the iPhone. But the point is that the response changes. And what happens when you have so many offers, so much content all the time, is that the normal human nature steps in. So what happens, like, the more things that are served to us, the less we have to do. And the higher, the more critical we become. So if we have to spend time on figuring out stuff, it's easier to go back to where we were before. And where we were before is normally not on your site. That was somewhere else, on Facebook, on Instagram, on wherever you were. So if you're doing marketing to pull people in, you want them to stay in. So we humans, we just love not to do anything. We want things to be served to us. And now things are just being served. It's like sitting in front of Netflix, and it's just like pouring in with stuff, and we can just go, oh yeah. We don't have to wait for the program, or we don't have to be ready or anything. We just sit back and let things come to us. And that's happening more and more in users. I see it because I do hundreds of user tests every year, because it's part of learning what the problem is. So I'll take you through some indicators of this. So first, what we saw when Google sort of exploded was that people became a lot more interested in search on the website. This is nothing to do with marketing or content marketing as such, but just like the behavior. So the behavior of doing search, we see more and more people do search, so search becomes important on the website. What's interesting about search? One, it bypasses all your navigation and all your other ideas of what they should do, because they want to go directly there. Two, users that search have a higher conversion rate, so we like users to search because they find things easier. So that changes how we have to build our website, and it changes user behavior. Another thing we saw, or I'm seeing now, and what I'm telling my clients now is don't trust people to go into your menu to find stuff. The menu is somewhere you go. It's like a graveyard of content. It's like where you go if you can't find shit and you are motivated enough to look for it. Why? Because the menu takes time. Think about it. You have to go to the menu. Yes, move the mouse. I know, but that counts. You have to click on it. You have to find it. You have to choose which menu item. You have to understand what it says. You have to go in to the menu. Just even that is just mental work for a human. It's much easier just to look on the page and go, okay, what's there? What's offered to me? Click here, do this, do that. Walk into the site. Not click here, sorry, on the bottom, but you know what I mean. So this means that people are getting more and more lazy, and this means that we have to up our game on the page. We can't just serve them a piece of content and go here you go, here's an amazing, engaging story. Have a nice time, by the way. It's like, no, when you're done, you're good to go. If you like that, maybe you want to go this way. If you want to know more, you want to go that way. And have to do that in a valuable way. Now, what's interesting about this is like, does this ring a bell? The ability to listen to your needs and talk to you and find out what's going on, what to offer you next. Oh, this wasn't what you were looking for. Maybe you want to go this way. Or are you done with this article halfway and maybe you want to stay, so maybe you want to read this. Who does that? Salespeople, yeah? This is sales talk. It's like going to a shop and having a great service. It's like someone knowing where you are, offering you the right thing at the right time. So this is part of your marketing, the journey that people need to go through. And this means that we need these sales skills. And that's interesting because once you start opening that box, it's not like you guys don't know anything about sales. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying online, there are certain things you need to do, sales skills, online style, yeah? And these need to go into the strategy. So when you sort of have, let's say, a content marketing strategy, which 41% of you have? So when you have a content marketing strategy, you have talked about what does the journey look like when they arrive at the site at this stage. Where did they come from? Where are they going next? Where are they in their buying circle process and all that sort of stuff? That needs to go into the campaigns, and you need to know the tools how to implement it, because it's not out in Google where they decide. It's on site now. You pull them in with your amazing stories. So this becomes important. So once you start asking these sales questions, you have questions that you may also talk about in your marketing campaign, but they are different questions. Yeah. What I found interesting from the first two talks this morning is like, what was the thing that was common theme? It was the communication. Yeah. The first guy talked about, you need to communicate in your team, and she talked about with the social media. She talked about that's a dialogue, and a sale is a dialogue. Yeah. So these are the questions that your user would ask, or you would ask for your user. You know, who are you actually selling to? Okay, that makes sense. You probably figured that out. What are the obstacles? Why do people stop buying? What steps do they go through? What choices do you have at what point? What questions do they raise? All this needs to be part of the marketing campaign, because when people sit and read that article about that tab, they will start having those questions in their head, and they want answers, and they will go like, yeah, I know they save 20 minutes every day, but you know, how expensive is it, or whatever question. Could be all sort of emotional stuff. Yeah, I don't know, it wouldn't look nice with this tabletop, and can I only have a round one? All sorts of crap goes on when we humans make these decisions. This is really, really important. And what I also do, this is my little standing joke, whenever I visit a new client, I go like, okay, before we start, please show me your buyer persona. Yeah, your description that you all agree on, that is your written description of who your users are, your segments, what their obstacles are, what's your value proposition, what's your unique selling points. Have all that ready for me so we can get started. And then it also goes like, blah, 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 blah. Because no one has got that. No one has that. Very few, at least. I've never met anyone, and I'm talking very small companies to very large companies. And the problem is that you haven't had that talk because it's not sort of part of the marketing toolbox, lingo. Now, what's interesting here? Did you just give me the 10-minute? Oh. I didn't see it, but I thought I bet he just did that. Okay, so the selling is the conversation, and this is also a little tricky if you are too detached from the actual sale, because then you just have your campaign. Is that a dialogue? Well, it's a very one-way dialogue. It's just like, here's a message. Okay, I buy into that message. Okay, then I'm done. I'm done. You can go to the website and figure it out for yourself. This is a conversation because the decision-making is a conversation between humans, really. So a conversation is interesting because once you start having a conversation about why would I buy this product, you have, of course, all the talk about value, relevance, motivation, but then you start growing into things like bias, cognitive biases, anxiety, all sorts of emotional things. So there's a whole layer there that you have all heard of because terms like nudging, stuff like that is very popular right now. So this becomes part of the conversation because it's a conversation with the human brain, another human brain, which then is part of the sale, which then is part, of course, of the marketing. So who knows all about this stuff already? Salespeople, because that's how people have been selling vacuum cleaners for years. They know exactly where to point. They know exactly when to say the price. They know exactly when to give an offer. They know how to get a little commitment, then get a bigger commitment. So all that stuff is out there. The interesting thing about, and now they have the science to prove it actually, because now we have all these A-B split tests, and we have all these measurements about what's going on in the brain at what certain time. So the books are, there's a million books now about this, from Daniel Kahneman, his System 1 and System 2, and all these heroes about behavioral design and stuff like that. It's all related to how we can get people to make decisions. And salespeople know that all along. Now they just have the science to prove it. One of my personal favorites, Cialdini, Robert Cialdini, his book is basically salespeople and science meet. Yeah, so he enrolled himself in all these selling courses and all this stuff because that's where they knew all the tricks about how to knock the doors and sell Jesus and all that stuff. And then he put that together with all the science, and it adds up fine. So that's super interesting. So this means that there's part of a skill set. So now we have the practical skill set about buttons and that, and there's the skill set about knowing about the buying decision. So my idea here, my rant is about start talking to sales. Not talk to salespeople as such, but start talking sales, knowing your sales skills. Love to be a salesperson. Actually, I think in Denmark it's a little bit like I'm a salesperson. It's on that list of like car dealerships. It's like, but you should be proud of being a salesperson. That is what you are. You are a salesperson, really. You call yourself a marketer, but you are a salesperson, really, deep down. The problem about this, and we can talk about that in the break if anyone's interested in hearing my rant, it's like when we educate people like you and me, we don't really talk much about this. I've been teaching at the IT University over here for 6 years in usability, from 2012 and back. I never spoke about selling. I never spoke about persuading people to do anything, ever, in 6 years on that study. I regret that, but that was just not a topic of the day. I don't know if you study marketing, I know you start talking about all these behavioral things, but maybe not so much about the workmanship of being a salesperson. But it's out there, you know the stuff when you see it. Value proposition design is part of the whole business plan thing where you talk about the gains and the pains of the use and what you offer. It's that sort of stuff, how you make that fit. That's part of that. There's stuff like 5 stages of awareness. You talk about where are the user right now? How aware are they of your product? How do you add value to where they are right now? So you have steps, you have a timeline, you have the conversation. You have someone like Avinash. Now, anyone know Avinash, the Google guru? He has this model where it's like, okay, so people go for different things when they do different. You can find that if you look up his blog. Again, it's just about different steps, different layers. So you need to have that. You need to have that timeline. Did you just do the 5 minutes? Good. Just checking up on you doing your work. Okay. All right. So that's just 2 things that you can take with you. I'll give you a little closing note on that. So the flow. So where do they come from? Where do they go? How do I persuade people to take the next step in my marketing campaign? How do I move them forward? How do I make it relevant where they came from in my marketing campaign and where they're going to? We of course have to talk about customer journeys. That is basically what you are part of, a customer journey. So be part of the whole journey. And then action, making them click. This is something I do a lot when I work with content marketing. It's like, let's have some action here. Let's offer people something to do, something to click on. Let's motivate them to move a step forward, move them closer to the actual sale. Now this model is in different languages and all sorts of stuff, but basically what I want you to think about here if you have a content marketing strategy is like you think about alternatives to what they are looking at. If you look at a newspaper article, for instance, on a newspaper website, in between the article they drop other stories and other things, or if you like that, would you like to look at this? It's a bit like a web shop. So you enforce the value of giving them alternatives. That's on one axis. Because you don't necessarily know that people that are interested in your product, they also want to go the step further and go closer to the actual sale. You don't know that, so you have to be humble there and offer them alternatives. Or once they start going like, oh, I read 5 articles about how to choose the right car, you can move forward and go like, how are you going to pay that car? That's the next question. Yeah, where are you getting the money from? So they move into that layer, and then they can look at leasing, or they can look at, this is just the car example. So you can think like that, and you can figure out, where does my story, where does my piece of content fit into this? And of course, you want a movement that works that way. So you don't really care that they keep reading new articles, as long as at some point we start pushing them towards the actual sale. So that would be something concrete that you can challenge your story. Do you have a 3-minute one? There were no questions after this, I know. What I'm also going to propose to you is going to look a little bit more at landing pages and landing page design. Because what is a landing page? Basically, a landing page is where you arrive for the first time and you are told, what is this offer? I know they have a different look about them, yeah? They are shorter, more to the point, and more action-based. But this is something that is valuable knowledge for someone doing content marketing. That this is the stuff that works, because you can actually see what's going on, and you can quickly have like an idea, and then you can move forward into the site. So what do landing pages want? They want you to stay on the page and move into the page, yeah? To commit a little bit. So landing pages, for me, is a very good way of seeing what's the lingo, the sales lingo, and how can I take that lingo, and some of it is very short and brief, and some of it is more complex. So landing pages is a very good idea to look at that, to get that sales feel about how to make users go into the flow, how to have that conversation. So together, it's my wish. Let's put sales back in marketing and in user experience, by the way. But that's another crowd. But we user experience people just as bad, because we are all like, the users and all that crap. No, it's still about, you're still part of the sale. So let's put sales back into marketing and fight the disease for higher ROI for all of us. Thank you.